At the end of the topic, you will be able to define the term hormone, mention the names of various endocrine glands, list down hormones secreted by Pituitary gland and their functions, name the cells of pancreas that secrete hormones. Think that you are riding a bicycle on the road. If you suddenly happen to see a dog chasing you, your heartbeat increases and you start to ride fast with extra energy. As a result, your body sweats a lot. Have you ever thought about this sudden change in your body? This sudden change is because of the adrenal hormone that is being secreted in your body. This hormone is secreted by the adrenal gland, which is part of the endocrine system. The endocrine system is comprised of many such glands. These glands regulate the normal functioning of the cells and other organs. Let's learn about these endocrine glands and its secretions in detail. Glands are the specialized tissues that secrete chemical substances which regulates body functions. Depending on how they release the chemicals, glands are classified into two types. They are exocrine and endocrine glands. Exocrine gland secretes enzymes that are carried by the ducts to the site of receptors. Endocrine glands are otherwise said to be ductless glands, as they do not have ducts. These glands secrete chemical substances called hormones directly into the blood. Blood acts as a medium of transport for hormones. Different endocrine glands present in our body are pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal gland, pancreas and gonads, which includes the testis and ovary. Hormones act on the cells of other organs and increase or decrease the metabolism. They may act on other endocrine glands and control their function. Tissues or organs on which the hormones act are called target tissues or organs. A hormone may act on one or more target tissues. The same hormone may have different effects on different tissues. Different hormones may act on one target tissue. The pituitary gland controls the functions of all other endocrine glands in the body, so it is called as the master gland. This gland is present attached to the underside of the brain by a stalk. It serves as a link between the nervous system and the endocrine system. The size of the pituitary is very small. It is like that of a large pea seed. It has 3 lobes. They are anterior lobe, intermediate or middle lobe, and posterior lobe. Anterior and posterior lobes actively secrete hormones. Hormones secreted by anterior lobe are growth hormone, thyroid-stimulating hormone, follicle-stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and prolactin. Hormones secreted by posterior lobe are oxytocin and vasopressin. Look at the table showing hormones of pituitary, their site of action and functions. Production of insufficient amount of growth hormone during childhood results in dwarfism. Persons affected by this disorder are called dwarfs with stunted growth. If large amounts of growth hormone is produced during childhood, growth of bones and limbs will be more and persons look like giants. This condition is called gigantism. Diabetes insipidus is a condition which occurs due to the insufficient amount of vasopressin produced in the body. Due to this condition, very large amounts of urine is excreted by the person. Thyroid gland is located close to the trachea in the neck region. The thyroid gland secretes the hormone thyroxine. Iodine is required for the production of this hormone. Thyroxine increases the metabolic rate of cells. It increases the production of heat in the body and promotes growth and differentiation of tissues. Insufficient production of thyroxine in the body of a child results in cretinism. The child will be having very poor body growth and will be mentally retarded. Insufficient amount of iodine in the food we take results in the increase in the size of the thyroid gland. This disorder is said to be simple goiter. It is clearly visible by the enlargement of the neck region. Thyroid-stimulating hormone is a glycoprotein which is made up of 211 amino acids. TSH acts on the thyroid gland, which is the target organ, and stimulates the thyroid to secrete thyroxine. There exists a negative feedback mechanism between the circulating level of thyroxine and the hypothalamic releasing factor. Under hypo level of thyroxine in the blood, the hypothalamus produces thyroid-stimulating hormone-releasing factor. This factor acts on the pituitary gland and stimulates secretion of thyroid-stimulating hormone. This hormone acts on thyroid gland to produce thyroxine. There is a reverse condition, that is hyper level of thyroxine in blood. Under this condition, hypothalamus does not produce thyroid-stimulating hormone-releasing factor. Thus, the production of thyroxine is controlled. The parathyroid gland is present very close to the thyroid glands. The parathyroid glands secrete the hormone parathormone. Role of parathormone is to control the level of calcium and phosphate in the blood and bone. Insufficient secretion of parathormone make the bones lose calcium and become soft. Overproduction of parathormone make muscles very active and remain in a contracted state called tetany. A pair of adrenal glands is present on top of each of the kidney. They look like a cap on the kidney. Cross-section of the adrenal glands show two distinct parts. They are the outer cortex and the inner medulla. Adrenal cortex secretes two hormones, cortisol and aldosterone. Cortisol regulates the metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Aldosterone increases the reabsorption of water and sodium in the body, thereby maintains blood volume and sodium levels. The medulla part of the adrenal gland secretes a hormone called adrenaline. This hormone is produced in conditions of physical and mental stress. Therefore, it is otherwise called fight or flight hormone. Pancreas, or otherwise called as islets of Langerhans, is said to be a mixed gland because a portion of the pancreas acts like an exocrine gland and another portion acts like an endocrine gland. Pancreas is a leaf-like gland located near the duodenum. Endocrine, a part of pancreas, is made of cells called islets of Langerhans. These cells secrete two hormones such as insulin and glucagon. Insulin is usually produced in the body when there is an increase in the blood glucose level. It promotes the conversion of glucose to glycogen in the liver and muscle and stores in the same place for future use. Thereby, insulin helps to control the glucose level in the blood. Glucagon is secreted when the blood glucose levels are low. It promotes the conversion of glycogen to glucose, and this glucose is released to blood and supplied to the tissues. When sufficient amount of insulin is not produced in the body, the glucose level in blood increases and glucose will be excreted through urine. This condition is said to be diabetes mellitus. This disorder is identified by the presence of glucose in urine. Diabetes patients take insulin injections regularly to control the blood glucose level. Gonads are the organs that produce gametes. Testes are the male gonads and ovary are the female gonads that take part in the reproduction. Apart from producing gametes, these gonads also produce hormones. Testis secretes the male sex hormone testosterone. This hormone helps in the development of prostate gland and seminal vesicles, and also helps in the development of secondary sexual characters in male, such as formation of beard, mustache, and low-pitch male voice. Testosterone promotes the growth of bones and muscles. Luteinizing hormone promotes the secretion of testosterone. Ovary secretes the female hormones called estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen helps in the development of uterus, mammary glands, and fallopian tubes in the female reproductive system. It also promotes the development of secondary sexual characters in female, like characteristic hair growth and high-pitched voice in the females. Progesterone acts mostly during pregnancy period and promotes the growth of the uterus, implantation of embryo in uterus, and formation of placenta. Eunuchism is a condition which occurs in males due to absence of testosterone. Due to lack of this hormone, male characters will not develop.
Ovaries are both cytogenic and endocrine in functioning. Estrogen is responsible for growth of female reproductive organs and the appearance of secondary sexual characters in females, such as growth of pubic hairs, soft voice, feminine body, and so on. Progesterone maintains pregnancy and regulates menstrual cycle. Relaxin relaxes the muscles of the pelvic region at the time of childbirth.
Endocrine system. The endocrine system is made up of endocrine glands and tissues which secrete hormones. These are ductless glands and pour their secretions directly into the bloodstream. Glands such as pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, adrenal, pancreas, and gonads, namely the ovaries in a female and the testes in a male, are endocrine in nature. The hormones secreted by these glands reach their target tissues through blood. This image shows the location of the endocrine glands in the human body. As seen here, the pituitary gland is a small, round gland which is attached to the hypothalamus by a stalk called the infundibulum. The anterior part of this gland is called the adenohypophysis, and the posterior part of the gland is called the neurohypophysis. The pituitary gland communicates with the hypothalamus using nerves and hormones. The hormones of the pituitary gland regulate many activities of the human body, such as growth, metabolism, blood pressure, reproduction, and sexual development. Hence, the pituitary gland is referred to as the master gland of the human body. This gland secretes various hormones such as growth hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, thyroid-stimulating hormone, follicle-stimulating hormone, prolactin hormone, and luteinizing hormone. These hormones control the activities of the thyroid gland, adrenal gland, and the gonads. Some of the disorders associated with abnormal functions of the pituitary glands are dwarfism, which is caused due to hyposecretion of the hormones, and gigantism, which is caused due to the hypersecretion of the hormones. The thyroid gland is a bilobed gland. The two lobes of the gland are located on either sides of the trachea in front of the larynx. These lobes are connected by a massive tissue called the isthmus. Due to its bilobed structure, the thyroid gland looks like a butterfly straddled on the windpipe. Thyroid gland secretes two hormones. They are thyroxin and calcitonin. Thyroxin increases the rate of metabolism and maintains energy balance, while calcitonin regulates calcium and phosphate levels in the blood. Some of the disorders associated with the abnormal functions of the thyroid gland are cretinism, myxedema, simple goiter, and tetany that are caused due to hyposecretion of the hormones, and exophthalmic goiter that is caused due to hypersecretion of the hormones. A human body has two adrenal glands located on top of each kidney, fitting like a cap. Hence, they are also known as suprarenal glands. Each adrenal gland is structurally and functionally differentiated into two regions. The two regions of an adrenal gland are the outer cortex and the inner adrenal medulla. The adrenal cortex secretes three types of hormones, namely glucocorticoids, mineralocorticoids, and adrenocortical hormones. These hormones regulate metabolism, stimulate kidneys to retain sodium and to excrete potassium. They also help the body to adjust to stress. The adrenal cortex also stimulates development of secondary sexual characteristics, especially in males. The adrenal medulla secretes two hormones, namely adrenaline and noradrenaline. These hormones maintain carbohydrate metabolism and help the body to adapt to stress and other extreme conditions. Some of the disorders associated with the abnormal functions of the adrenal glands are Addison's disease, development of female secondary sexual characteristics in pre-puberty male, and the development of male secondary sexual characteristics in a female, which are caused due to hyposecretion of the hormones and acute changes in secondary sexual characteristics caused due to the hypersecretion of hormones. Parathyroid glands are the two pairs of small, round mass of tissues situated on the dorsal side of the thyroid, a pair on each side. Parathyroid glands secrete a hormone called parathormone. This hormone controls the calcium metabolism and maintains blood calcium at a constant level and hence regulates calcification in the bones. As seen here, the hormone increases blood calcium by releasing bone calcium into the bloodstream and by increasing the calcium absorption rate in the gastrointestinal tract and kidneys. Thus, low blood calcium levels stimulate parathyroid hormone secretion, while high blood calcium levels inhibit the secretion of this hormone. The disorders of the parathormone are tetany, that is caused due to hyposecretion of the hormone, and demineralization of bones, that is caused due to the hypersecretion of the hormone. The pancreas is a leaf-like organ situated between the limbs of the duodenum. The endocrine portion of the pancreas consists of about 1 million cells clustered together forming the islets of Langerhans. There are three kinds of cells in the pancreas. They are alpha cells, beta cells, and delta cells. The alpha cells, when stimulated by low blood glucose, secrete a hormone called glucagon, which raises the blood glucose levels. The beta cells, when stimulated by high blood glucose, secrete the hormone called insulin, which lowers the blood glucose levels. The delta cells secrete growth-inhibiting hormones. The malfunctioning in the secretion of the hormone has various effects. For instance, if the pancreas does not secrete sufficient amounts of insulin, the liver and muscles will be unable to convert the excess blood glucose into glycogen, and glucose utilization for energy production or fat production is reduced. Thus, the hyposecretion of insulin leads to diabetes mellitus, and hypersecretion of insulin leads to insulin shock. The testes are the male gonads, which are oval in shape and lie in the scrotum. The male hormones are called androgens. The interstitial tissues of the testes produce the sex hormones testosterone and androsterone. The functions of androgens are to stimulate the growth and development of the male reproductive cells. They influence sex instinct and reflexes. They are required for the normal maturation of sperms, which are the male reproductive cells. The ovaries are the female gonads, which are paired oval bodies located in the pelvic cavity. The hormones secreted by the ovaries are estrogen, progesterone, and relaxin. The secretion of estrogen stimulates the growth of the fallopian tubes, the uterus, vagina, and the innermost uterine layer. It increases the sensitivity of the uterus to the hormone oxytocin secreted by the posterior pituitary gland. It helps in the development of the secondary sexual characteristics. The secretion of progesterone maintains a normal course of pregnancy, and the secretion of relaxin helps to dilate the uterine cervix towards the end of pregnancy. The thymus gland is a bilobed gland situated posterior to the sternum and between the lungs. The two lobes are held together by a layer of connective tissue. This gland secretes two hormones called thymosin and thymoprotein. These hormones initiate the production of lymphocytes and antibodies.
In this topic, you have learnt cells of endocrine glands liberate chemical substances called hormones. Thyroid gland is located close to the trachea in the neck and secretes thyroxine. Two adrenal glands are present, one on top of each kidney, and look like a cap on the kidney. Endocrine, a part of pancreas, is made of cells called islets of Langerhans. Progesterone promotes growth of uterus, implantation of embryo, and formation of placenta.